I'm speaking today on, by the time I'm 40, I don't want to be defined by my marital status. So, in my opinion, if you ask anyone, young and Christian, they'll have a plan pretty much, or at least an assumption. The perfect time to meet someone, get married, have children. The cultural expectation is that this is good and normal, at least for many Christians. It is how we will know we have arrived at fully fledged adulthood. The race is on, and resources exist to help the cause. Classic books like Praying for Your Future Husband, and no, there isn't a wife version, exist to map the way. I'm supposed to start early and focus. The pressure is on. Though in a God-centered, still smiling, just going to journal my hopes and dreams kind of way and surrender it all to the Lord. You know, nothing too unfeminine. The pressure is on, but it must not be seen. The mystery man my energies are supposed to be focused on is not in sight, but I'm still being defined by him. He could have a better day today if you'll pray for him right now, screams one helpful marriage-focused book, along with much of the Christian internet. Books like Lady in Waiting, Set Apart, and Get Married, What You Can Do to Help It Happen, throw their pastel-covered advice at me, uninvited it should be said. Has no one told my missing in action future husband about this? Can he sense it? I have been praying for him to have at least one superpower. I get to wondering, who am I without him? My name, the one I've had since birth, will do for now, but I shouldn't get too attached, should I? But until he comes along and things fall into place, it seems I'm stuck with it. At least with all the praying I'm doing, it shouldn't be too long until I find out who I am, which of course will be a big relief. And then we can focus on really living and having magical moments. Anything I might achieve outside of marriage or even starting a relationship will not gather the social media squeals and likes that announcing I have found someone to love me will. Not even the time I met Engelbert Humperdinck. Finding my so-called other half will make me not only unfeasibly happy, but will take me to a new level of completion. A shared identity rather than half a person. Double the limbs and brain power and potential. Double dates and dinner parties, maybe even double the income. Wholeness. Instead of a loose woman wondering what went wrong. Looking for Mr. Right so I can start fulfilling my destiny. Marriage is presented as a higher mystical state. Just listen to many of the sermons accompanying a wedding. It is seen as an improvement generally on singleness, and also just as a matter of time. Why else would I have grown up impatiently expecting to be part of this spinning with joy, lost in our own perfect world, blur of delight pictured here, rather than the bemused single person accidentally caught in the background just trying to get to the co-op in time for the special offers? That was definitely plan A. Pretty much the only excuse there is for asking people to raid John Lewis for the latest white goods and wine glasses in return for a free meal and the chance to throw things at me, ideally just confetti. The only other way another human is obliged to surprise me with tokens of affection that double as confectionery, which is of course the truest sign of love. Forsaking all others to shower me with rose petals and create stories starting with, "You'll never guess what he did," that I can share knowingly with other coupled people, or cause the still single to gaze longingly unless they're just concentrating on trying not to vomit. The only way crashing waves of passion are permitted without the need for pastoral lifeboats to be deployed. But it doesn't seem to be happening quite that way. I might need to rethink. Work through some options before I'm stuck organising holidays with single supplements at 40 instead of honeymoon cruises with slow dances and towels that have been sculpted into swans. That did happen. But even on my own, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one wondering what Plan A was all about, even if there was a wedding. There might not have been a happy ending. Unplanned situations, illness, unemployment, money worries, infertility could have raised their heads, or it was over too soon. Living with another person turned out not to be the party everyone sold it as. Unfulfillment, frustration, stuck in a big dull rut till the rapture. Is this it? And it's not just the never been married who find themselves on the wrong road. And yet marriage still seems to be elevated above singleness in its many forms, the goal and the purpose. I wonder if it's because of what I perceive, a narrow Western view of coupledom. a Christian culture view that presents it as a step closer to heaven. The reality of marriage around the world might not be quite so idealised. It could be pragmatic and maybe doesn't allow for personal space or any independence, which could limit time and opportunities for romantic body sculptures in atmospheric settings. Marriage in other places could be more practical, a necessity for getting by with clearly defined roles and routines, which could mean slow-mo silhouetted sunset snogs aren't a priority. Companionship could be a factor everywhere, but maybe just not as much as helping each other stay alive. Certainly not the recipe for someone finding my back utterly irresistible when I'm trying to sort out direct debits. So if it's really not a cultural, financial, or even spiritual necessity, what makes me think I'm missing something? What makes you think I'm missing something? Well, maybe the fact that I am. You're right, I am. I'm missing you, all of you. My natural desire to connect with you, other humans. It's not an alien idea to want to look into a warm, non-judging face at the end of the day, even if it does end up being this one. I feel the pressure. I need to belong. I don't need that turned into unofficial league tables of who's done well for themselves or who's left on the outside based on my relationships. I had heard somewhere we were all supposed to be trying to be more like Jesus, which should make us look different. Well, that's the idea. Though who's to say Jesus wasn't judged by his marital status? The lost gospel of "Since date night with my hot wife" doesn't record exactly how many times he was asked when he was going to settle down with a nice girl, and not those less than desirable ones he kept hanging out with. And I'm wondering about you, whether I can tell by looking at you if I should pigeonhole you, whether you want me to. Would you like me to see you as half of a whole if you're married, or incomplete if you're not? What if the timing I've been told it's all about means something different? That every day of my life counts, whether I'm married, single, widowed, divorced, deserted, or wondering what's next? That I'm not waiting for my time to come or for my life to start? We are fed these positive aspirations. The focus of our spiritual journeys is often illustrated from the lives of those who lead us. We're often, let's be honest, given these stories by married people, often men, with children, who may not have experienced much of adult life as a single person. Like the church I once belonged to, which gave married couples Sundays off once a month for quality time and told me I was blessed at having so much more time to pray and volunteer. Which wasn't quite how it felt. The high of calling of divinely sanctioned sex on a Sunday or clearing coffee cups in a church hall. Tricky one. And those weren't our only aspirations. With the Insta Facebook hasn't happened till it's tweeted generation. It's easy to think of life in Snapchats and sound bites, in retro-filtered, carefully bordered, artistically cropped moments which reflect and project our desire for a photogenic life. Harder to create those when you're on your own. And the subtle or not so subtle hierarchy that can exist in Christian culture. Reaching 40 and not being married could look like not having achieved one of society's most important goals. Be perceived as flighty, faulty, or failing. If I don't have other achievements to my name, people will wonder what I've been doing, even what's wrong with me. But then I wonder. It's not good for man, human, to be alone. That was established at the start of the big story. We are built for others. We don't have the focus of the New Testament church, who were advised to skip marriage if they could possibly keep their tunics on, and focus on the fact that Jesus was coming back and there was work to do. Being together was about community, shared lives, and a togetherness built around making sure everyone had enough and being seen and loved and cared for, and that need hasn't left us. We are built for stories. We are meant to have stories to tell, not just to imaginary grandchildren, but to tell the world, to tell our friends and people we don't even know yet. Not just stories of how we met or our big day, but stories that touch the other parts of our souls and humanity, of the ways we interact with each other, how we change lives and how lives are changed. We are built for moments, all of us, not just on the days of big cakes and white dresses and new babies and their first steps, but for all our first steps. Our first steps into new things, our big steps, our achievements, the things we've partnered with God to do. And we are also built for the mundane. Grand gestures and breathtaking highs, our occasional breaks in the monotony. And even then, not for everyone. Life is mostly about routine, about the day-to-day. Sharing the dull bits of life with each other, being known intimately, is what we all need. And the truth is, we are built for the perfect life. That is why we exist. My life should be about the pursuit of God, of justice, of truth, and of love, to aim for kingdom come, not defined by whether I come with a partner in tow or not, but for a spiritual beauty and reality that transcends our daily routines and earthly selves. The picture I showed earlier is titled Waiting for God, intended to be a slyly humorous dig at getting old and having nothing but death to look forward to. But for me, there's another meaning. We are all waiting for God, alongside each other every day. And it's not about the end of life, but about every moment, and doing that together, included and not excluded. And that's why I don't want to be defined by my marital status. Thank you.